we're going to be talking about some Stanley Cup Finals moments and fun with the great Elliotte Friedman. In the Stanley Cup Finals, after being pretty much 2 months on the road with the group, every now and then I like to go on my own and go get a dinner on my own. And this is in 2012. It's Jersey playing the LA Kings. But instead of staying in Jersey, we're actually staying in New York City. So I separate from the guys. I go out to dinner, a sports bar, and I sit down, have a drink or two, and I'm saying, is there anywhere I can go find some live music? Anywhere I can go find some live music? Anyways, the guy's like, just go down here, cool little spot, hop in, some cool little bands, it's live music. I'm like, live music is perfect. That's all. When you're on the road, a couple drinks, some live music, it's just takes you away from everything. So I go in, it was $10. $10 to go in the front door. I open it up, they open up the door, there's no one in there. There's no one in there. But the building it's I don't know what to compare in Montreal, but it's like a little theater. But it's only like 50 people in there. And the music is unbelievable. So I don't know what to do. So I move up a little closer. I got my beer in hand. I'm like, well, just keep moving forward, I guess. What do you do? Before you know it, I'm like on like right beside the stage listening to this band that is unbelievable. It was crazy to be in this little environment with nobody else there, and it was the Sheepdogs. Great Canadian band. That year they went on. This is from their album. That's Feeling Good from their album Sheepdogs. The next year that was up for Album of the Year. I believe it won the Canadian Award for Album of the Year. So great song. And speaking about great songs, the next guy is a great guest. Show number 10. Yeah, show number 10. Hockey reporter, insider, scooper, analyst, panelist, journalist. Great guy, great friend, the great Elliotte Friedman. I just have to bring him on now. My fat fingers are trying to touch it. I get to interview Elliotte, which is fun because this is what Elliotte does all the time. So we're going to flip the switch on him. And
Hey,
you got to give me more of a heads up if you're going to come on like that. Like, so I had, true story, hi, Elliotte.
hey, PJ.
We're probably going to lose most of the people right now because I have friends that just wanted to see what your face looked like right now.
you know my wife, right, Steph? You know Steph?
Yes, I love her. She's awesome.
She says to me last week, she looked at me and she goes, it's like I'm married to a different person.
Now, do you think she's saying it in a good way or a bad way?
Bad way, bad way. Now you would think that being married to a different person than me would actually be a good thing, but she's saying it as a bad thing. And she's starting to look at me every day and saying, you're not really keeping this until they're playing again, right?
Is that your deal?
That's my deal. Until they drop the puck on games, I want to continue to wear it and have it and just let it grow. Like, don't touch it. Just don't trim it. Just let it go. And she's starting to say, almost now, it's about every third day, this is going to end soon, right? So
she picks up your phone. Gary Bettman, please, can you get hockey back, please? There's
right.
COVID. I don't care about the COVID. I need Elliotte to shave.
That's right. Who cares about the health of the players? My husband looks disgusting.
So Elliotte also has, people always ask also, Elliotte wears a blue pin, his beautiful wife Stephanie, and they have a son, Max, who I heard him speak just last week. He has a little blue pin that Elliotte always wears. The blue pin is for autism. Max is autistic. What is the blue pin? What is it though? Is it a puzzle?
Yes, it's a puzzle piece, and it's sort of like the missing piece of the puzzle, right? Because we don't really have all the answers to what's going on. So I just wear it to tell people out there that they're not alone.
I don't know how I can look at you for another. Hold on. I gotta take.
Here, I'll take one with you. Okay,
cheers, buddy. It's time too.
Cheers, buddy.
So I thought this would be really fun because, Elliott's a great person. Everyone knows, and he plays a special role on TV where he's the guy interviewing people all the time. He's the one that has. You can't wait to hear what his day is like. So we'll get to that in a little bit. But like, you're this big time. What title do you use? Like I went through. Is it analyst, panelist, journalist?
I use reporter.
Reporter.
Yeah.
So superstar, big time reporter on the #1 hockey show in the world. But let's go back to how we got there. Like let's go back to the beginning. And you were, like I'm younger. I was big. I know you're a basketball fan growing up, and you played a little. I believe one time you got 6 points in a game, right? That is that true?
Yeah, I
Like
think
normally I come on and I like I had Eric Lindros and I go through like 5 minutes of Hall of Fame stats, and I got up your sheet. And
I don't got those. I
you got
definitely don't got those.
you got 6 points in a grade six basketball game at camp. So
But we were playing the grade threes when I got 6 points.
so what's like you're younger? What's young Elliotte Friedman? Like I don't even know this, and we've had so many beers and so much time together. What's a young Elliotte Friedman want to be growing up?
Well, obviously I would have loved to have been a hockey player, an athlete or something like that, but I realized that wasn't going to be happening at an elite level. Like, you know what, PJ? Like you can divide the world into two kinds of people, right? Those who peaked in high school and those who didn't. And I was in the didn't group. I wasn't like I was soft. Like I look back at now and how I was as I was a kid, I was soft. I'm embarrassed to admit it. I was soft. I've got much more edge to myself and much more belief in myself now than I had then. But I was soft. Like PJ, like you were a star growing up in hockey, and every level that you go up, there's the layers begin to separate, and you say, okay, if I'm going to grind and make it, I'm going to have to do things that maybe I didn't have to do at the previous level. And what did you do? You fought and you scrapped and you checked your way to the NHL. You had the grind. You had the grind. You had the will. I didn't have the will when I was that age. I do now, but I didn't have it then.
So you come out of college,
Yep.
journalism degree, and
No, I don't have a degree.
I'm trying to make this. Listen, no one knows, Elliotte. I'm trying to make you sound smart here, right?
Yeah.
Now, okay? Yeah.
Someone just wrote by Miss PJ on HNIC. I miss you too.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
There's been some nice people. People are loving the beer, by the way.
Good.
So yeah, it is. It's great because you always have a certain way of carrying yourself, so professional. It's fun for people to see, like dressed like a Yeti.
Yeah, PJ, could you imagine what these people would think if they would have used to seen us hang out together, like at Stanley Cup Finals and stuff like that? They wouldn't believe it.
So again, you guys see us on TV, and I think Deborah Berman is now doing your suits. By the way, you look like Fabio every week.
Yeah.
And they have great makeup artists. Leanne was there forever.
Hi, Hillary.
There's a great
Hillary.
Hillary. There's a great staff of like. We walk in so disheveled, and they're like, "Okay, we're getting a 9-iron, a duster. We need the level 4 makeup. We need." It's pretty. They do some amazing stuff. And the Stanley Cup Finals, as I told the first story, is actually we told this last week, but I'll just give a quick thing. Stanley Cup Finals is for 3 rounds. We're normally always in Toronto, and then the finals is when we get to travel, and we get to travel. It's like they're letting these kids out for the first time. It's like the craziest year we ever had was Boston, Vancouver, 2011, and we just so every game in the Stanley Cup Finals is at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So every game's at 8. So when you're playing on the East Coast, people listening, it's at 8 o'clock. You're done at 11. You do like a half hour of media hits, like Elliotte does some recaps, and we're just waiting. Come on, Elliotte, we go. And he's like, he's working still. So we're getting ready. We go out. You got a couple hours in the bar. 2 days in between every game, so you're off the next day. So we get a little crazy. Game off. But when you're on the West Coast in Vancouver, the game was at 5 p.m., which is 8 East. We're done at 8, and we have 2 days before the next game. So we were. There wasn't a sober moment, I don't think. How great was that trip?
Oh my God! And then our friendship almost ended in that trip too.
So
which was my fault.
we actually ended up because all the media is at different times. They have to get all their stories in, so we had to be in the next town to see the pregame skates. A lot of teams would leave after the game on the second night. Yeah. We'd spend overnight and take a 6 a.m. flight. So we had a bus at like 4 a.m. But me and Elliotte are only getting in at 3:28. So we had time to change and comb and get on the train or plane, the bus to take the plane. We thought
just do the deodorant quick.
Yeah, the quick deodorant, the quick brush of the teeth, and tell them what happened. What happened to my phone?
Yes, there was one night in Vancouver, and there was a lot of strange stuff that happened on this particular trip. Like, there's the story of me wearing my wife's pants and stuff like
You brought it up. I'm going to
that.
tell it after. Now that you
Yeah.
brought
Okay.
it up, it, it is the best story. Okay, you tell your story so then I can come back with mine just to make sure, because I've been wanting to get you back, but I've never said it on any
No,
media platform.
we're gonna do it here.
Okay. So the first night of us doing this, Elliotte and I were always going back and forth. Kelly, Rudy, we had a great group. That Shirley, Najak,
Yeah.
everyone come out and have these great nights. And Glenn Healy was with us on that trip, and real team, real fun,
Yeah.
and it was a blast. But what Elliotte and I used to always steal each other's phones and like change a letter, or change a name, or whatever.
The language.
The language, right? And Elliotte takes mine one night. Go ahead.
And I try to figure out the code. Now, you guys have to understand there's a lot of alcohol involved here. Like, a lot. A lot of alcohol. And so I keep checking, and it starts to warn you, hey, like, if you get 10 in a row, it's bad things happen. I can't. And I'm like, whatever. And I keep guessing, and it keeps warning me.
No, he's
And
like, you're so dumb. I can guess your password. And it's like
that part I don't remember, but I believe it
it's
happened.
3:30 in the morning, and he's putting in like Rockhead or like whatever. And it just finally I go to the bathroom, and he's still going. I come back to
PJ, it was 10. I tried 10 times, and I failed 10 times, and I felt horrible. It was one of those moments where you sober up right away, like you realize you've done something really wrong because the phone is starting to erase. And he's got pictures of all his kids and stuff in there. Oh, that was the worst. That was such a low moment. And I was lucky. Like, Craig Simpson was there that night.
Yeah.
And he was like, PJ, you should kill him. Like, Craig was telling you to beat the hell out of me.
So I've always wanted to. Elliott's been great in helping me give back numbers. You got my parents' numbers and everybody's numbers. So, but one of our favorite stories, which has always been in-house, and it should sum up 2011. So again, we're together, great group every night. So I forgot Simmer and Huey. They're with us. We had like every day we go to pregame skate in the morning or practice in the morning and have the day off. So we meet for lunch and maybe get a workout in, and then we meet for like 3 or 4 o'clock and start drinking. And it was just no kids, no wives, it was just us guys, like a hockey team again, on the road, in a bar, playing dumb drinking games, erasing people's phone numbers. And like I said, we get back at like 3:30, and we had like 8 minutes to catch a bus for everybody. And if you miss this bus, you're missing the plane. So on the trip, earlier that day, we had a friend of ours who worked at Lululemon. And she invited us down. She has a big job there. And she's like, I'd love to give you guys a couple things to wear. And Elliotte, being the great family guy, not only took things selfishly for himself, like I did, Elliotte actually bought his wife and kids some stuff as well. There's your credit. I'm giving you some love, Elliotte.
Mm-hmm.
But then we go back to our room, put all of our stuff in. We go start the drinking, and then craziness starts. I couldn't take pictures of my phone anymore because my phone shut down. But we're just, again, having fun, music and drinking, and we come back at like 3:30. We're like, quickly, guys, we got to get on the bus, brush your teeth, deodorant, and we quickly get back in line, back on the bus. And I'm with Elliotte, and we're all walking together. We're all together, hungover, or still drunk, we're still drunk. I shouldn't be saying that, but sorry. We're trying to get onto the bus. We're banging into stuff. We sit down. We get off. Now we start walking through the airport. We're walking, like, we're all with Elliotte for like, I don't know, an hour before we've gone through security. Now we're kind of on the other side, and we're sitting there hungover trying to find a coffee. And this girl walks up to Elliotte and goes, I have those same pants. in his drunken stupor, he put on his wife's pants, which is kind of, oh my God, none of us noticed, and it could have been the funniest. We laughed. Oh, we laughed.
And let's just say, Steph is a little bit slimmer than me.
Yeah, well, that's just it. Yeah.
So they were a little tight. That added to the
Oh,
insanity of it all.
that was
Yes.
just it was so good. But
And the whole plane ride, like, and Vancouver to Boston, that's like 6 hours.
6 hours.
And you guys are sending people up like every 20 minutes to say, so
Can you
I'm
guys go
un,
see Elliotte?
I'm uncomfortable. I'm hungover. I'm starting to get angry. Oh my God. That was, I can look back at that. And then I told the story on like radio and they were laughing their heads off.
Oh, it was so good, and we had a
Oh,
great group. It
those were
was
the
a real
best
great group.
times.
But so let's go back a little to how you got there. Like, how you got talking in Canada, and then
Yeah.
I got a question from Cody Bear that popped up on one of them is what advice did Bob Cole give you? But let's get to before you got to Bob Cole. So
Okay.
how do you get to here? Come out of university, you start working, which you didn't finish, which I'm telling people you did. You actually end up you started at a newspaper, editor in chief.
That was the student newspaper at Western. And then
Again, I'm making it sound bigger, buddy.
people don't walk right out of college to become editor in chief of
Because
newspapers.
you didn't finish college.
That's right.
So
So I started working. It took me a year to get really in. I struggled for a year. And then I started interning at the Fan. And it kind of went from there, the Fan in Toronto. And I was a good reporter. And I went from the Fan, to the Score, and then to Hockey Night in Canada. And I guess the rest is history. That's the way it kind of went.
You made it sound really easy, but there's you're at the Fan to the Score to Hockey Night, but are you back then? Hot Stove was way different. John Davidson, Al Strachan.
Yeah.
Did you try and emulate yourself, comparing yourself to one of them?
No, like PJ, I never liked that. Like I think you have to be yourself, right? Like that's the thing. That's why you and I got along so well. Is that like you're your guy, and I could never tell you what to do because I could never do the stuff that you do, because you're PJ, and you could never do the stuff that I do because that's just not you. And so I never liked to copy anyone else. I was like, you got to be you. It was funny, PJ. Like my first year at Hockey Night, I had the Frosted Tips, and there was a game on the other day, and people were tweeting them at. They're like, "Is this you? Did you have Frosted Tips?" And I interviewed. The worst thing about it was where they saw it was I interviewed the Prime Minister of Canada, Paul Martin, right after the Olympics in 2004, and people are tweeting me. Are you this idiot that had Frosted Tips interviewing the Prime Minister in 2004? And you go through phases where you try to find yourself kind of, right? And try different things like this dumb beard. But I never tried to, I was always a good reporter and I stuck with my strengths, but like, I don't think you can ever try to be anyone else because if you're someone else, you're not going to be your best. Like you've seen guys in life and men and women in life, if you're phony or you're not being who you are, you've got no chance. Be who you are.
So was that, you think, was that your best quality characteristic that helped you move up the chain?
Was reporting? Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
yes.
Who calls you for Hockey Night?
Shirelli, who I believe is on this chat. So what happened was after the 2003 Stanley Cup Final, I didn't realize this because I was covering the series for the Score, but Scott Russell signed off after Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final. New Jersey beat Anaheim to win the Cup.
Yeah.
And Scott Russell, after that game, signed off and basically said he was leaving Hockey Night in Canada. So I didn't know that at the time because I was covering the series. And then CBC posted the job. They said, we have an opening for Hockey Night. And they posted it in like July. And around the beginning of September, Shirelli called me. And I knew Shirelli a bit. I didn't know him that well, but I knew who he was. And he said, you haven't applied for the job. And I said, I don't really like applying for jobs. I think if people are interested in me, they'll find me. And he said, well, we'd like you to apply. We're not offering you the job. He was specific about that, but we'd like you to apply. And so I did. And about a month later, I got the job. And I remember I had a job interview. My first job interview was with 4 people, and Shirelli was there. And one of them was a woman from HR. And she asked me, do you have a bad temper? And I go, yes, I do. But usually it's directed at myself if I make a mistake. And after I got the job, Shirelli said to me, look, the next time you're in a job interview with an HR person, they ask you if you have a bad temper, say no. Don't say to an HR person you have a bad temper. So that's one thing I learned about that job process, even though I got the job.
So you get the job at Hockey Night in Canada, and again, Charlie Ajax, one of the best people in the business, and hired to you would give us both a chance. How is it like? And I don't mean this in the wrong way, but how is it you pick up a phone and hi, I'm Elliotte Friedman, and let's say you're calling the hey Bob Gainey, I'm Elliotte Friedman. Can you please give me some scoops on your team? Like.
Well, the one thing I will tell you, PG, and I know you can have experienced this too, the moment you have Hockey Night in Canada after your name, people look at you differently.
Yeah.
Like I remember, like, some people knew who I was from the score, but I wasn't around hockey all the time. That first year, when people at Hockey Night, whether it was Scott Oak or Bob Kohler, Harry Neal, or Greg Millen and Chris Cuthbert would say, this is our new guy on Hockey Night in Canada, people looked at me differently. Oh, you're on Hockey Night in Canada now. And they treat you differently. And I noticed that. That was a big deal. People said, okay, he's one of them now. And, I have to tell you that the thing that really happens is people watch that. Like, you always used to make fun of that headline segment, or that you would always say, oh, give me another update on Phoenix. Those are really exciting. And you always used to rip us for that. But people watch.
It was the Arizona update all the time. By the way, everyone, I'm not sweating as much as I normally do. Sorry, Elliotte. I've never do this, but I'm wearing shorts. I know some reporters have gone in. Have you ever gone in the summer with just the suit on and the tie and shorts on underneath?
Yes.
Yeah, that's kind of the look that I have right now because I don't have AC in my house, and I normally sit here sweating. But I wanted to wear my frontline better than the first line shirt today for the NHLPA. So yeah, I don't have AC.
Oh my goodness, PJ splurge.
Sportsnet let me go too early. Just when I was about to buy AC, I had got everything.
That was the next thing on the list. You even had the hole in the window.
So whoever, first year, second year, third year, like a bad call. Like I made I know you got the instant credibility. By the way, Engels just texted in and said he looked like Santa. But like any calls don't go the way you want them to. Like in those first couple of years, any funny ones?
I didn't like. I do remember like the first time I went on. Like my first show was a Thursday night game, Ottawa Montreal, and Martin Havlat was unsigned, and John Muckler was the GM, and I had to interview him at 7:02. And the old music came on, PJ, that dun 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 dun, dun right at 7:00.
Right.
And I froze. And I knew if Ron had thrown to me right in that second, my NHL career at Hockey Night would have ended right there because I could not speak. And then I said to John Muckler, I said, I bet you this is the first time that you've been interviewed by someone who's more nervous than you are. And he looked at me and goes, I doubt it. And that broke the ice for me. So that could have been, I don't think there wasn't anything. There was one time I stuttered through and lost my train of thought going to break, but I held it. There wasn't anything, I don't think, like Shirelli would remember if there was anything too bad that first year. I don't think so. But you know what I really did feel, PJ? I was nervous. I was like, I would go on air and I would be like, don't ruin Hockey Night in Canada. Whatever you do, don't ruin Hockey Night in Canada tonight. And I felt that for a long time.
And then you said, screw it.
I said, screw it. I'm just going to take it right down.
Since you've come, they've lost pretty much the song. The song's gone. Sportsnet now has Hockey Night in Canada for those that
all changed.
Know how it's all works. It's all completely different. Guys do a great job. But
Shirelli just wrote too long a list of mistakes that first year.
My Violetta, my figure skating partner, is putting a smiley face up, so I think she likes your beard. There's a few stories that are popping up, by the way, and I'm sorry, my phone's I look like this just so I can type and listen, but Hockey Night, some names that you mentioned, and Cody Bear brought this up before. What advice did Bob Cole give you when he started hockey in Canada?
Bob Cole was always, Elliotte, don't talk over the face-offs. Like, that was a big one with Bob. Get your story done before the face-off. And I loved working with Bob. And someone asked, I saw Cody Bear asked about the first game. That Ottawa Montreal game. As you know, PJ, I'm always late. I am always late. But that morning, we're staying at the Brook Street Hotel in Ottawa, and they offered us the shuttle to go over to the rink for the morning skate. It was me, Bob, and Harry Neal. And Harry's already in the shuttle, and I come out, and Bob's not there yet. And I walk to the back seat, and Harry says, Elliotte, why don't you sit in the front? And I go, are you sure? Like, I can let you or Bob sit here. And he goes, no, Bob and I like to sit in the back seat and talk about the game, and you sit in the front. So I go, okay. And I go in there, and I sit down, and Bob walks out. He starts walking to the car, and he stops. And then he speeds up, and he opens the front door, and he says, young man, I sit in the front seat here. And all I heard was Harry like cackling behind me. I'll tell you, there was another time I worked a playoff game in Boston. It was Boston-Montreal with Bob and Greg Millen. And we land at Logan Airport in Boston. We throw our stuff in the cab. And sometimes, you know, I would sit in the front seat of the cab because then I'd pay. If it was my turn to pay, I'd sit in the front seat.
You never sat in the front seat of the cab.
Yeah, okay. Don't start this.
You never sat in the front seat.
So anyway, so I remember I take like cheers, bud. I take like half a step, PJ. And then I remember Bob's here and I step into the back seat. And so I sit down, Millsy's there, we're driving to the hotel, and Bob's in the front and he turns around and he goes, do you think I didn't notice that you took half a step towards the front seat? I was like, how did you know? Like, I changed in mid-stride. He says, I noticed that you tried step to the front seat. The man was a savant with that stuff.
He was. They were Harry Neal, Bob Cole, two of the best ever. Cuthbert now coming to the team this year.
Yeah.
What does he bring, in your opinion?
He's fantastic, too. Like, at the end of the day, like, you just want to have the best show, right? And he calls a great game. So if it makes the show better, you always support it.
The show has changed, Elliotte, in the last so many years. You know, social media has kind of changed it quite a bit.
Yes.
You know, obviously everyone remembers what trade day used to be like, and you know, Saturday would be scoop day, and now it's every day.
Yeah.
And that's what social media is. So, you know, how has it kind of changed what you do?
Well, I think what happens, PJ, is that, you know, you can't always wait till Saturday night to break a story. Like, if you think you have something, you have to say, okay, what happens if I can't wait till Saturday night? And sometimes it's tougher to, like, you know, if you hear something, you want to check, hey. And also, one thing I like to do, PJ, is, like, I like to send a warning. I like to say, hey, I'm hearing this to the team, just so you know before it comes out. And it's harder in the day of social media. If you know someone else is chasing it, you obviously can't get it as much. You can't give as much warning. You know, the one thing I really believe, though, PJ, is that I think executives have to stop paying attention to social media. I had this argument with someone a couple months ago, and they were telling me about something they were seeing on Twitter.
Sorry, executives in your company or
yes. Everybody, I think. Like, I think people let social media now rule them too much. And, like, there's times that a social media groundswell is good, but there's a lot of other times that we forget, 20% of people have a Twitter account, and you're letting those people make your decisions for you. I had a big argument with somebody about it this season, and they were like, we got to do this, we got to do this, we got to do this, we got to do this. And I said, who, and I'm not going to out them, but I said, who is the person in this position? And they said to me, well, I am. That's my title. And I said, no, Twitter is in that position. If you're going to make all of those judges based on what you're reading on social media, you're not in charge. Twitter's in charge. And I think that's a big thing. I think one thing that social media has done is it's taken the courage away from people to stand up for what they believe in. And there's times we always have to admit that we do things that are mistakes, and we could do them all. If we could do them over again, we would. But there's other times that just because people disagree with us, it doesn't mean they're wrong. It just means that people disagree. And sometimes I think social media has taken away people's will to stand up for their decisions. And I don't like that.
So just the other night or last week, I'm forgetting the dates because there's craziness going on every day.
You don't even remember what day it is anymore.
I don't know. It's the 2011 Stanley Cup Final. I got shorts on though. That's the only good news, and they're mine. I think. I think they're mine. So everyone now has this platform, and everyone's kind of using it for. Players are speaking out a little bit more, and we talked about this just recently. You actually put something out, like because you're Elliotte. You're a human being, and you put something out. It was about when Trump divided everything so we can go take the picture in front of the church, and the backlash or the comments that you got with that. So how do you differentiate your relationship with people on Twitter? Like when it first came out, I remember you and I would take some beatings, but now you've been doing it a lot longer. Is your skin still really thick, or does that stuff still bother you?
My skin is pretty thick. The one thing I really believe is that I think that one of the reasons I don't wade into politics and stuff too much is that I believe that the more you do, the less effective it is. Like I think if you really want your opinion to matter and you want people to notice, don't do it all the time. Because then when you do it, it matters. And I didn't like that night. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this now. And, you know, PJ, I mean, I've lost 1,500 Twitter followers since that happened. And people told me that would happen, and that's fine. Like, it's my feed, and if you don't like it, unsubscribe. I'm okay with that. But the weird thing was, I could handle all the stuff that was coming in. I could handle 99% of it. I've heard it all before. I've had people tell me how fat I am. I get racial slurs periodically. I can handle all that stuff. Those are just losers. But there were a couple things that were so over the top that I just had to address them. And
do you write them back?
There were a couple I did in this particular case.
You're like, you write them, you do.
Yeah, a couple. Just to let them know that I thought it was over the line, and I said that, I want you to know that
you want to meet in the dark alley.
No, but
if
you think you're anonymous, you're not that anonymous. But I won't do that again. I probably will just leave it next time.
Well, the bad news is, unfortunately, now people know that you didn't get your degree and you wore your wife Lulu's. You're going to lose another 1,500, or you could gain a bunch of thousands expecting content like that more often. Stanley Cup Finals, tune in. There's some good stuff. That's what we almost have to do. I think it's been great for the playoffs. The players this year. I think our sport is very get pucks deep. Same.
That'll change. Time. That's going to change.
I thought it was good. I think this in a weird way, just has been good to hear. A, players voice their opinion on different matters. B, show themselves outside the hockey rink. Whether it's training kids, whatever, showing them smiling and being a human being.
Well, you know what I think, too, has happened, PJ? When you came up, what was your first year?
2007?
So that's 13 years ago.
Yeah, I think so.
The coach was God.
Well, yes.
The coach was God. Like now the players have more control than ever.
Okay, perfect setup. What just happened in Buffalo, and how does two things?
Yeah.
Which is crazy how that team keeps changing people. But how do you get that information? I didn't see you this morning.
Yeah.
But I watched our good friends at TSN. It was Mackenzie and LeBrun were on this morning.
Yeah.
And doing a great job, but you guys get that information so quick. Two things. How do you get that information? Like, what do you guys do? Do you have pictures of, what do you do? You guys get it so quick.
Well, I think what happens now, PJ, is that because there's no hockey going on, people are really gossipy. They're bored.
Yeah.
Like they're like us. There's nothing happening.
I'm not
So
bored. Are you kidding me? I'm living my dream. This is awesome.
so
This is the
people
best
in
time
hockey,
ever.
you're not bored, but the people in hockey are.
I
And
got no pants on right now. I got beers in my hand. I got Freach who looks like Quasimodo. This
I
is
got to tell you,
awesome.
feet are disgusting. Don't show that again. I
Well,
do not like feet.
I'm not sweating as much as I normally do. Like this is, I decided it's the short look instead of. Oh my God! Funny story.
Okay.
There's the Lululemon shorts. I just realized. This is the best. Here, I don't know if I can do this. Hold on. Can you see the Lululemon?
Yes.
That's too funny. That's from that day when we went and got our clothes.
Are those your wife's shorts or they're yours?
Oh, that's too funny. What happened in Buffalo?
Well, you know what I think. I think they decided they were going to make a change a while ago. The more I think about it now, the more I think they were headed towards this, and it was just a matter of when they were going to make the decision. And you know, I think the Pagulas, the owners there, feel that there's only certain people they trust, and they trust Kevin Adams. He's worked for them for 10 years. They know him, and they feel they did a top to bottom review of that organization, and I think they felt they had too many people there. And I heard they went to Jason Botterill and they said, we want you to cut our organization down by a significant amount. And he said no. And I heard when Botterill heard what happened yesterday, he was really disappointed. He was like, that was not going to happen under my watch. So they removed him and they made the changes. And I think that's exactly what happened.
I think it was 19 people that lost their
It's
jobs.
more. It's like I saw that list that John Vogel put out today on The Athletic. He put out the scouts, but there were also the AHL coaches. There was their hockey IT guy. There was another development guy or something like that. I think the number was closer to 25, and somebody told me today that they're still deciding on a couple of people.
They all have to be replaced.
I don't think they all will be replaced.
Yeah,
like,
so that was
unfortunately, PJ, because of the pandemic, like there were teams who told me Buffalo was first, but they won't be the last.
Yeah.
Like they said, there'll be other teams that do this, and you're going to see contracts change, shorter term, more force majeure language, which means if something like this happens again, they'll have the right to let you go. And maybe contracts that just make you a full-time employee as opposed to term. So if they want to get rid of you, they could fire you, but that means you can quit easier too. So I do think you're going to see other teams do. I was told today, Buffalo may have been the first, but they won't be the last. I feel badly for some people in the sport. I think they're. You know what the worst thing about this was, PJ, is that we're here in a pandemic, and if you get fired, that could mean your insurance, right?
Right.
Your medical insurance.
Right.
And 3 weeks ago, they were under the impression that everything was going to be okay.
Right.
And now this happens. Like it does come across as really tone deaf and cruel.
A lot of people not understanding. A lot of these owners kind of have to. Before I get back to my Buffalo side, some of these owners own hotels, restaurants, sports teams. They're really losing on every side of it. So
nobody's getting away unscathed.
No one's getting. So my question was back to, you kind of touched on it, but you said how coaches ranting when I played. Like, I mean, I sat on the bench and, you know, coaches would yell at us. And that was how we were brought up as well. It's just way different. My question was, do you think it's kind of, I don't know, is Eichel a little bit running that team a little? Or do you think he has some input in that? Or?
I don't think he had any input in this. I do not believe this was about Jack Eichel. I think he's frustrated and he's tired of the losing, but I don't believe he went in this particular case and said, make these changes or I'm gone. Now, the one thing I do believe is I do believe the Sabres worry that if this continues for too much longer, that eventually Eichel will say, get me out of here. But I don't believe that he went in this particular case and said, make these changes. I don't believe that. I think this was a Pagula decision, and it was coming for some time. It was just a matter of when they were going to do it.
What's your relationship with? I know what it is like, but is there a little bit of a combatant against LeBron, against McKenzie, against because it's all about getting it out the fastest now.
We're all
Right?
friends, but we
We're all
compete like
friends. I know.
players do. Yeah, we compete like players do.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to get the story, be the first one. It's competitive, but we're all friendly. Like, sometimes I win, sometimes I lose. Like, you have to be used to that. It's like playing, really.
Do you ever send a note after something happens and like, oh, that was good, or
Yes, it's usually like you bleeping so and so, like, good scoop.
do you? Okay, so you get the scoops, you go on air. Let's go. Take me through a day though, because I want to get to another question about the scoops. But
Yeah.
people think that you just go on air with these scoops, and it's not. The amount of work that you put in to getting these scoops. Like I watch Elliotte, and Elliotte is on his phone. Like it's awful. He's on it all. Elliotte, he's like, yeah, what's up? And he's pacing back and forth. And then he's like this, and then he's like this, and then he's like this. So I ended up drinking his beer because he doesn't drink. But
I can drink and text, buddy. I'm good at
what's
that.
your day like?
I just think I think what happens, PJ, is that I think as you said, you're just on this thing all the time. Like a Saturday, like there's certain people in the league, they expect to hear you on Saturdays. They're like, to hear from you. They know that this is a big night, and you know, they know it's a big night, and they're like, oh, okay, I know why you're calling me. I know it's Saturday, it's hockey night. You want to hear what's going on. Like I think a lot of the people, you don't want to bug them too much. So I do my blog on Wednesdays, Tuesdays for Wednesdays. I'm on the show Wednesday night, and I'm on the show on Saturday. So my guys, like every morning when I wake up, there's a bunch of guys I text and just say, hey, what's going on? Anything going on out there today? And sometimes they'll be like, nothing since you texted me at this time yesterday. And sometimes it'll be, look into this. And sometimes the stories are obvious. Like it'll be a big story and you'll text someone from the team and say, what's going on here? And then, you just hope that someone gives you a little something and that you can develop it from there.
Do you ever?
You're constantly texting and asking what's going on. And if you get something, then you're chasing.
Do you ever think that you're being played? Do you ever think that?
Yes, sometimes I have.
And
I'm careful about that.
How would they play you?
There have been some times that I think teams have floated things to try to hurt other teams that are close to them, or maybe someone doesn't like somebody else. I've told this story before. I had one GM call me once and say, okay, I'm going to use you tonight. And I'm like, I don't really like that. So you better tell me that there's some truth to this. And he goes, oh, no, there's truth to this. And they were thinking about doing something. And I said, so you're honestly thinking about doing it? And he goes, yeah. But my owner wants to see what the reaction is going to be. So I put it out, and nothing happened for 2 or 3 days. And I checked, and I said, anything going here? He goes, my owner didn't like the reaction. And we laughed. And so, like, that kind of thing happens here and there. And, I think the one thing that happens, PJ, is that some guys will lie to you. Some guys will ignore you. Like, there are guys who don't like to lie because they know that means you won't believe them again in the future. Like, also, there's one guy who I got along with really well. I heard one of his guys had asked for a trade. He didn't respond to me for a week. And then finally he got back to me when I confirmed it. And he was like, I just didn't want to lie to you. And I'm like, I respect that.
So your Saturday night is like a 5-minute, storyline, but your 31 Thoughts is podcast online. You can find it where do you recommend people find it or go to it?
Sportsnet.ca website, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Thank you.
Well, it's great. It's
wherever you get your podcasts.
So how, like that's, I know you said you Tuesday, but how long does that actually take you to do? And Jeff Merrick, by the way, shout out to Jeff Merrick, I just absolutely love Jeff Merrick, one of the greatest. Elliotte and him hold hands during this about an hour-long segment of talking about the ins and outs of the NHL, contracts, negotiations, everything. So it's a great listen.
The blog will take me about 10 hours to write.
10 hours?
Yeah.
Hey, that's a lot. That's a lot.
I know.
That's yeah. Favorite favorite city in the NHL.
Oh man, Chicago,
Yeah.
New
Do you,
York.
do you remember Howling at the Moon? Not to throw another Stanley Cup final at you. We don't have. We started with the drunken debauchery at the beginning of this. The end of it's in Chicago, where there's a. If you like traveling and like your music, and that's something that I do. Howling at the Moon is a dueling pianos joint, and I got the group to get going there a few times with
Oh, it
my
was great.
Turbo. That
That's
cat.
the one where Kelly spilled wine on my phone and I put it in rice to save it.
Yes, that's it. Let's take down Kelly. Let's take down Kelly now. We go no matter what bar we go to. Kelly orders mostly red wine. Like
Yes,
we're like,
with ice.
yes. Let's make fun of Rudy. Let's take him down a little off his greatness pedestal. Oh, he's good looking still a great dresser, great hair. Like look at you for crying out loud. It
I
isn't
know.
rare. Favorite meal on the road?
Oh, I love a good steak.
Any restaurant that pops?
I'm trying to think, like, you know where I used to love going? Remember in Carolina, we'd go to Sullivan's Steakhouse?
Yeah.
I like Sullivan's Steakhouse in Carolina. That was always a great place to go to.
You ever try Peter Luger's in Long Island?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Like Peter Luger's was a great one. There's a lot of great, like,
Every town.
those are the times we miss PJ. Like that Stanley Cup final with Vancouver, Boston. I remember this one night we went out, we were tearing into each other, and it was in Vancouver. And I went to the bathroom, and you're standing there at the urinal, and this guy is next to me, and he's like, I'm listening to you guys, and you guys, like, everybody knows who you guys are, and you're ripping each other, and you're telling each other how stupid each other is, and how much they suck on the air, and like, he says, if we did that at our office, we'd all get fired for HR violations. And that is the way you guys talk to each other. He goes, I wish our office could be like that.
Yeah.
And man, I used to love
The banter.
you know what? You know what I loved in Montreal? Somebody just asked, is Chez Paris still your favorite Montreal hangout? No. But in Montreal, I loved Stogie's, the cigar place.
Yeah, sure.
Like Simmer's Godkids used to work there. And we would go and we would have cigars after game. I love Montreal. I love it there.
Amanda Stein, working with Jersey, former friend of mine, well, still a friend of mine, we did radio together. She's in working for the
Yeah, she does a great job for the Devils.
Devils. She just wrote Burns Steakhouse in Tampa.
That's a good place too. Really good.
Yeah. So hypothetically, it's 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Montreal post game. You've had a bunch of drinks. You got to hit a place. You go to Dunn's. What are you ordering?
This story is not about me. This story is about Heel. Well, actually, I would have matzo ball soup.
Yes. Who goes to a smoked meat place to have matzo ball soup?
Hey, that's what they're known for. Smoked meat places generally have good matzo ball soup.
At 2 a.m?
Oh yeah, but the best was Shirelli. Shirelli would be there, and Glenn, he would be like, "You got any Chardonnay?" And they go, "We've got Chardonnay, but it's not very good." And Hills would go, 3 bottles.
So again, to Deborah Berman,
I
to Hillary,
miss all this.
to Leanne, to everyone that did work to get these guys back ready for hair. What do you comb your hair with? It's a big question. Is it a shoe, a rock, or a salmon? Those are 3 questions that have been going around.
A can of tuna.
Still in the can. Best signing, proudest moment. Anything that popped? Your proudest moment that you broke this trade. You did this story. Like your stories, I used to love your pieces. Actually, if you guys have a few minutes, we're about to wrap up.
I gotta tell you, like, I always love the Shane Doan one.
Shane Doan. I was just gonna say that.
I gotta tell you, like, I walk by Shane Doan and George Peros at like NHL events, and they'll be like, "Hey, cowboy, how you doing?"
So Shane Doan owns a ranch, a big ranch out in Arizona, and Elliotte went to do a story on what the Doan family does with the ranch, and it's a great piece. But they wanted to do it with Elliotte on a horse. So downtown Toronto kid, throw him on the horse. And so it was so good. It was
even
so
Ron
good.
was looking at me like, "What are you doing?"
Oh, what's hockey coming back? Is it coming back?
I think they're gonna come back. I do. I mean, they like they got to work out the safety, and they got to work out the CBA stuff. I think we'll see a vote by the end of June if they get everything done. I think, now that baseball looks like they're getting towards an agreement, basketball looks like they're getting towards an agreement. PJ, I'll be honest. I'm not sure if the players are crazy about playing.
I've been hearing that.
I think they're not crazy about it, but they recognize for the financial reasons, as long as it's safe, they recognize for the financial reasons that they're going to have to do it like the other sports will. I think the biggest question is the spikes, and if we start, are we going to be able to finish?
If someone gets it, Elliotte, what happens?
I don't think one test, like they're going to have positive tests.
Yeah.
There's no way we're going to be able to avoid it. But I don't think the problem is going to be one. I think the problem is going to be like, what's the number? And the NBA won't tell anyone the number, and the NHL won't tell anyone the number. And I think that there's a reason for that. So people aren't counting towards that number. I just think what the NHL players want is they want to know, hey, you're saying we're going to start July 10th. Let's start July 10th. Don't delay it. Give us a date. Tell us when to be there, and let's be ready to go on that day. And then try to finish it as quick as they can. I think you get 2 weeks of training camp, then 1 week in the hub city with a couple of exhibition games, and then we go.
Stanley Cup final winner?
PJ, who the hell knows?
Just give an answer. Listen, people right now, he's got a beard. He looks terrible. Doesn't have a degree. Wore his wife's pants. And he doesn't know who's going to win the Stanley Cup. You've already lost 1,500 people. I'm trying to save you. If you say the right one, we'll replay this. And I'm like, Elliotte predicted it way back in May. June.
Vegas.
May.
Vegas.
Interesting.
But I base that, it's a pure guess.
I know it is. But I just wanted to hear you say it because now we can mock you when they lose in the first round. Elliotte Friedman, you're the best. Love you. Thank you very much for doing this to your family. Shout out if Max is watching. Max, you're the best. Keep going, kiddo.
PJ, I love you and I miss you, man. I love you and I miss you.
And you know what? If anyone deserves anything, Steph, your wife, for putting up with that face oh my God. Good luck.
See you later, bud.
See you, bud. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.